Hi, friends. Welcome to the Energy Independence Group show, where we talk about energy independence every day, Monday through Friday. Today, we have a visionary in the energy industry and solar in particular. His name is Scott, and we are going to talk a little bit about some of the topics that he sees that are interesting. But we're going to invite him here. We welcome him. Thank you for joining us, Scott.
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity. Les, really excited about the conversation we're about to have.
Awesome. Well, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you chose to be in the energy industry?
Sure thing. I don't think not so many people know, but I actually have a PhD in physics from Harvard. And after, I was in the middle of doing that. And at some point, I actually read an article about arsenic in the water in Bangladesh. And I remember thinking at the time, like, wait, what? I mean, how can this be a problem? And how can clean drinking water still be a problem? And so that's really kind of what motivated me, or at least kind of was a seed into thinking, hey, what else am I doing? And can we still, go out there and solve some of the more pressing problems in the world? And so got the PhD. And then after that, I kind of went into the energy space. And so for the past almost about 15 years now, I've been in the energy space, and it's kind of been interesting. All my focus in the past has mostly been on the technology side, the hardware, the engineering, the science behind energy technologies, all different kinds, from renewables, but also to fossil fuels. And then what was interesting was about 3.5 years ago or so, maybe 4 years ago now, I went solar myself. And so I put solar on my house. I live in Austin, Texas. Nice, sunny. Austin's a great community that promotes solar. It's got a local incentive from Austin Energy. And so I was like, great, I'm going to actually do what I put solar in my house and actually go into and buy into and enter into this energy transformation myself. But what was really interesting was that I went from this kind of the technology side into becoming a consumer. And that's when I was like, hey, wait, I'm buying into this energy transformation, this state-of-the-art technology. And then I realized the experience itself as a consumer buying solar, I mean, it's not an easy process by any means. I mean, trying to find a supplier, a contractor that's reputable, that you can trust, that you can put out as much money as as a car payment. I mean, as a car itself. And then once you put that down, then going through the installation commissioning process was long, with very little communication. And so that's really kind of got me into the place where I am right now, which is a software company called 17 Terawatts.
Cool. Well, sounds like you, like a lot of people who go solar, it's kind of, you become an evangelist for it, at least an advocate for it, and it makes you feel good to do something about the air quality, and then also to put extra money in your pocket. And I'm glad you're working on the customer experience, because it could certainly be better. Can you tell us in that regard? And question 2, can you tell us about 17 Terawatts and your role there?
Yeah, for sure. So 17 Terawatts is a design-focused software company. And what we do is we help solar installers, solar contractors really try to help them ensure that their customers' experience in embracing solar really meets their expectations. And the key thing that we start off is just setting expectations appropriately, and with project tracking. So what's about to happen, what's happening right now and what's about to happen isn't a mystery. And then, of course, once the system gets powered up, we want to make sure the homeowner feels a level of comfort in knowing that the investment that they made is actually working as expected. And so we have we have data visualizations and monitoring alerts that are meaningful and actionable. And then on top of this, what we really found that was key was there's a social part to solar, a social part to human nature. So we make it really easy for homeowners to become those evangelists, become those advocates, and be able to easily share their experience, and then invite their friends and neighbors into this growing community of forward-thinking energy consumers. We started the company about 2 years ago. We launched the product in fall of last year at Solar Power International, and it's been great. We've got some early adopters who have finding some really great value, both from the installer's perspective, but also from the homeowner's perspective. Right. So, like, for example, a testimonial that we got from the homeowners, like, hey, I love this. I love the system information. I love the cost savings in real time. And then what was key from from the installer's perspective, one testimonial was like, hey, thanks to Bodi, we're getting far less phone calls than we used to. And those phone calls were just asking the basic question, what's the status of my project? And surprisingly, if you think about that one question, what's the status of my project? That is a simple question, but gives solar installers huge headaches. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we hope to solve. So the key thing is we try to appeal to the intrinsic motivation for homeowners to go solar in the first place, give them a really good experience. And then we give them tools to be able to advocate for solar and grow that community more broadly through the providing of referrals, and then making them aware of opportunities to enhance their system, like with storage or with other products and services that same contractor or installer might have.
Yeah, that's really great. I can my wheels are spinning right now as I sit on the other end of the contractor side, and as we try to always improve our customer experience. So in a TED Talk I saw from YouTube that you did, you talk about solar, and you compare it to the modern day discovery of fire. Could you explain that to our audience?
Yeah, for sure. It's a little bit of tongue in cheek, but I think the key thing that I was really kind of relating was about relation. What is our relationship with energy? And with our traditional energy infrastructure, there hasn't been any relationship. I mean, there's a study there from Accenture in 2016 that says Americans think about energy on average for 8 minutes a year. And it's not really surprising to think why we haven't thought about that. I mean, our traditional energy infrastructure has put that energy source far away. And with solar, things have changed. We've got it right on our house. So there's this opportunity for a direct relationship. And in that case, that's very similar to, and to fire in some ways, because when you think about our ancestors, their discovery of fire gives them a direct relationship with energy, a sense of control and to be able to use it how they want it, when they want it. And that's kind of the same way with solar, where we now have that on our roof. We've got this direct relationship, and we can produce our own power, consume our own power. It's like having our own personal power plant right there. And so that direct relationship, I claim, is going to be a big turning point for how people start to build and develop that relationship with energy. Because what we found, and maybe this is the same with all your customers, Les, is that when someone goes solar, their expectations for their energy really change. I mean, they demand, and they actually are willing to pay for more information, more awareness, more control. And that's actually, starting to turn that corner. And so we have that opportunity to be able to leverage that, to do more in the world, do great things in the world.
Wow, you made me think of an analogy, which would be, most people are used to riding on a ship, but when you're the captain and it's your ship and you can choose where you could go and you're in charge essentially, and you want to get to that island, you can, but you're going to want to dial it in, and you're going to want to know how it works when you're the captain, right? So
exactly. Yeah, Energy Independence Group, that's exactly the same. I mean, because I think one of the interesting things about human nature is it's about relationships, but the sense of control that, solar systems or our own energy systems provide is that sense of autonomy. That is an innate sense that we all have. And, and that comes to be, and I think that is kind of key in how people are starting to think about their energy. I mean, one of the interesting things is that we found out about in the solar space, especially during this whole COVID-19 coronavirus, is that there has been, even though it's been, the economic downturn has been pretty dramatic, but there has been an increase in inquiries of storage,
Right.
energy storage.
Oh, wow.
Um,
I'm really glad to hear you say that because I've been noticing it too. And I'm not just trying to make it happen. I believe it's happening, and efforts also contribute there. But I'm glad to know that on the consumer side, the we're not just promoting it, but that the consumers are looking for it. That's good to hear.
yeah, for sure. And I think that's really the key thing here about solar, about energy. I mean, it's what we're talking about is solar is a consumer product, and it's going to be driven by the consumer. So the interest of 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 solar, of the adoption of solar, is going to be driven by consumer interest, and that's actually really interesting because when you think about that, because it's consumer product, you're now able to really be at the mercy, but also at the advantages of the whims of the consumer, the irrationality of consumers. And though that might sound like off the face of it kind of like scary, it actually is actually a really big advantage because what you find is that the decisions to go solar or decisions in consumer products, they're not always rational. They're not always based on ROIs or such. And one of the key examples is the neighborhood effect. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah, exactly. Keeping up with the Joneses. I mean, there's been a lot of research done on it, and so I think what they found was that if you lived in a neighborhood with a solar home, then you're about 5 times more likely to go solar than someone who lived in a neighborhood without a solar home. And so that is the kind of the power of consumerization. And what that has really led to is that if you look at the EIA's forecast for solar adoption, let's say, I think it was a 10-year forecast they made at 2006 for how much solar there would be in 2016. Turns out they were off and underestimated by 500%.
Wow, because of the
And
exponential growth year over year.
exactly. And that is due to the fact of this is relying on the power of consumerization.
Mhm. Yeah, the power of the consumer and the choice you have to deal with your outages and your concern for safety, especially in times like this where we're reminded. If you're listening, we encourage you to join us and find solutions with experts like Scott and others who will join us in our efforts to make a more safe, sustainable world for our families, our communities, and for everyone, really. But thank you for joining us, Scott. Where can they find you, and what ways can they reach you?
No, yeah. So just visit our website, 17terawatts.com. So terawatts.com. Yeah, come by and send us a note. We'd love to hear from you and love to connect.
Awesome. Well, again, for those that are listening and watching, we encourage you to join the Energy Independence Group, like our page at facebook.com/EIG Solar. We encourage you to share, comment, and like. It makes our next question more likely to occur. And that question number 4 is, how can the power of consumerization and virality of social network to drive growth in solar?
So very similar to what I was just telling you, that neighborhood effect, that is what's going to drive it because, and with consumers, that is, I mean, if we can really leverage that where, why does a particular product or that catch on? Somehow one person likes it, catches on with the next, catches on with an influencer, and then it just starts to explode. I mean, we can't really always be able to understand exactly the full dynamics, but there is that network effect. And
Mhm.
so what what's nice is because solar has that property of being a consumer product and it's already showing those same trends that are because of what you've seen in the neighborhood effect, that has that potential. And if you kind of think about it, people that go solar, they love it. There's this special magic to solar. And so, for example, if you ever see a photo, let's say on a Facebook post, for example, it's
Mhm.
you always see a photo of a person standing in front of their solar home. They're with their family. They're
Mhm.
smiling. They're happy, and they're one of the other things. They're proud. One person sees that, they share that over. Their friends, neighbors see it, and that's how we can actually drive that growth. And I think that's really key because that exponential growth, the that virality, the power consumerization, that's going to be needed with climate change. One of the issues is that it's to really solve that issue. It's really about scale, both in terms of how big of an impact you need to make, but also within a particular time scale. And so my belief is that we really need to leverage the power of consumerization, the power of virality to try to drive that growth in solar. And if you can really figure out, understand that behavior, and then give the consumers the right tools to be able to actually act as your own promoters, advocators, and evangelists, then that's going to be, for solar installers, that's really going to drive that growth. But for humanity, that's what's going to be the big solution for some of our intimate challenges in the next decade or so.
Yes, I can't explain how awesome it is to turn a solar system on for a customer, to see their face and their excitement, and for them to share that experience. That's where most of our business comes from. It's actually from referrals over a long period of time, around 15 years. We've been doing solar, and our customers we may not hear from them for years, but they'll call us, and they are sometimes they'll call us and they don't know they're calling us, and it's like, wait a minute, I have your phone number stored in my phone. We know each other. Oh wait, it's Charlie. Hey, what's going
Yeah.
on? How's your solar? And they're like, well, gosh, I want to add storage now. and
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, the communication and that process is really awesome. And speaking earlier, you were talking about turning points and influencers and whatnot. I encourage you to read this book by
Oh
Malcolm
yeah, for
Gladwell.
sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, The Tipping Point. It's one of my favorite books. I've read it all the way through. In Germany in an airport. I had plenty of time. So, but anyway, thank you again for joining us. So, on another question, which is, I think what you're alluding to and what you've developed. What is Bodi, the digital sales assistant for solar?
Yeah, so Bodi is a digital system it's a digital system for the modern day solar company. And what it does is it helps the solar companies um, ensure that their customers experience embracing solar really meets that customer's expectations. And what it does is it helps keep the homeowners updated throughout the installation commissioning process. And one of the key things is that we focus on that post-sale customer experience. So this is all about once a homeowner is around the point of signing that contract, we're there to really become the digital interface, really streamline and automate the customer communications, keeping them up to date through text, email, and through our app. Hey, this is what's happening. This is what will happen next. And so that starts to answer a lot of questions that homeowners have, and they have all that information in a single location at the tap of their fingers. Project documents. And then key is that the relationship just doesn't end there in that installation commissioning process when you turn on that power system. Like you said, those customers of yours, they're 25 plus year customer relationships. That's what comes inherent with solar. You have this 25 plus year customer relationship that you can really try to leverage. And so what we want to do is continue that relationship and cultivate it and develop these deep relationships so that, when you think about it, you can generate those referrals, or you can generate those opportunities for additional follow-on sales and of products and services. I mean, our stats that we've found are like referrals are 10 times more effective than traditional sales channels. And sales to these existing customers are about 7 to 10 times more profitable. And so, but it's only if you have cultivated these deep relationships with solar. And so that's what Bodi is really doing. But we start at that point of contract, and we continue that on with the integrations with the monitoring systems. We'll integrate with the inverters like Enphase, SolarEdge, but also third-party monitoring systems like Sense and eGauge, and to really, let the homeowners understand what how their investments are performing. But then that gives installers that channel to be able to really understand what else does the homeowner want to add on to their system as more and more products are becoming available to the consumers, empowering these consumers. Then the solar installer has this opportunity to where the customer doesn't necessarily see installer as purely a solar installer, but has the opportunity to really think of the solar installer as more of the home energy service provider.
Mm.
And so those are the opportunities that Bodi is really trying to make available, and all with trying to still give the right information about their system, um, about the energy and other options to really and how that really starts to impact their lives.
Right. Yeah, I love it. I love the concept, and I think there's some other options out there in the market, but it sounds like you've really got a handle on it and a vision on it that's unique, and I really appreciate that. So in question number 6, we have, how has the solar sales process changed in the age of Amazon?
Yeah, that's actually that's I mean, there's so much to talk about there. But I mean, what the way that we think about our company really thinks about the solar experience about we came up with a so what was happening was I went solar. I was thinking about my experience, but as I started diving deeper and deeper into the problem, what we realized was that the question wasn't just what should the customer experience be, but the question we really needed to answer was what should that solar customer experience be in the age of Amazon?
Mm,
Because when you think about Amazon, you know, companies like Amazon or any of those other tech companies, Uber, Google, what they fundamentally have done is change the way people make purchases. You think about it like one-click purchasing, things of that nature. And when you think about it for the solar industry, you know, we're transitioning from those highly tolerant early adopters into the mass market.
mhm.
And the people in the mass market, one of the key differences is that for the industry is that not only is the customer segment change from those early adopters to the mass market, but the challenges or this customer segment itself has changed. Then one of the key differences is that they have higher expectations because of these other big tech companies. So when they're
Right.
buying into solar, when they're buying into this new energy transformation, the state of the art technology, they're expecting experiences like Amazon, like, you know, all their information, all the services at the tap of their fingers on demand. They want all their interactions to be hyper personalized, otherwise they won't pay any attention. And then, but what's really kind of interesting is one of the other key things is they're always looking for constant improvement. They've kind of moved away from this purchase and then forget about it type of mentality into I want to purchase something and I want to see continued value out of it. And
Mm,
that gives energy companies a really interesting opportunity that, you know, they buy something and then, like you said, with your customer, a few years down the road, they're like, oh, wait, should I actually clean my panels? Should I buy this energy storage system that I keep on hearing about? Or maybe I'm buying an electric vehicle. I need an EV charger. Who am I going to call? Hey, I could call the solar installer and get that put in. And so that is kind of that's my that's how I think things have dramatically changed when you've moved over into this what we call the age of Amazon.
right. Well, I think it creates huge opportunity for ethical and personable and longstanding companies and professionals in the industry, because if your customer is happy, they know how to get a hold of you, they know that you can help them in the future. I think that's beneficial. And then also for the customer, I would caution that whoever, based on what we're talking about with Scott, whoever you choose to be your solar company, be ready to be in bed with them for a long time, because it's not a one night stand. It's a long, long process. So I'd encourage all of you to pick your solar and energy professionals wisely. And if you're interested, to call us, the Energy Independence Group, 661-868-9000. And, question number 7, Scott, I have is what trends are you seeing in the energy industry locally? What do you see that'll lead to globally?
Yeah, I think I mean things have changed so much. I think it's more about customer empowerment.
Hmm.
And the big trend is that it just in general in the energy is that decisions are being driven by the consumers. And historically, it hasn't been. You know, we've simply been users of what energy makes possible. I mean, you sign up with a utility, you put your, um, you know, you put your bill on auto pay, and you never think about it ever again unless something actually bad happens and you lose power, and you're like, oh wait, how do I even who do I even contact? But I think nowadays with the consumerization of energy, that has started to change, and people are starting to drive that, and utilities are then having to respond. And historically, utilities actually have a horrible reputation of being able to respond well to the consumers.
They don't,
They, some
you don't have a choice. They're a monopoly usually. So.
no choice. That's why they used to call them ratepayers, and some of
Mhm.
them are still
Not
do, but that's
customers.
changing.
Right.
And that's what I think. And so I think the big thing is that the consumers are going to want more, and they don't necessarily know what they do want, but they know they want something different. And so I think this is where the solar companies and solar installers and other energy companies can come in, because I think that expertise with all the different products that are becoming available, it's like, how do I make sense of this? And with all the different panels, all the different solar panels out there, yet the consumer most of the time doesn't actually, most of the solar homeowners actually don't know the full breadth of panels available out there. They rely on their solar company to actually make that decision for them on what's the best thing. And I think that's going to continue, especially as more services come onto the market, as rates are going to become time of use rates, or potentially some demand charges. There are county or jurisdictions and territories within certain places in the U.S. that have demand charges for residents. Those are really hard for homeowners and residents to actually be able to understand and then act on. And so, what are those best services? So I think that's where I think, yeah, I'm pretty excited about what types of opportunities there are for new products and services that really try to meet those demands of the new energy consumer.
Right. And I think what I like talking with you about is that, it's not just the technology, it's the process, it's the experience, and it's the trust and whatnot that you have in relationships that you're going to build and that you're going to hopefully last a long time, as long as the equipment will last. And as you adapt over time, and there's new options like energy storage in this case, as a contractor here in Kern County in the state of California, we are thinking about the future and what we could do to help our customers. In this case, we've been preparing for energy storage with Enphase for several years now. We're ready with a lot of our past clients to come and add in a modular way to their solar system, empowering them with the smart switch and whatnot. So it's a very wonderful experience to work with the right technology, but it's also nice for the clients to be able to come back and know that they can work and work with what they have. So as we move forward in these times, question number 8 is, we're hunkering down. Can you give us some advice, maybe a favorite quote in these times?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. That now that the public kind of understands exponential growth,
Mm,
I think the quote or the thing I might leave here to say is solar is contagious.
mm.
Uh,
Oh,
and
joke.
once we can get out of this, if the entire community, the entire industry can latch on to that concept that solar is contagious or can be contagious, that's going to change the world. So
Right. Wow, that was great. You just made your own quote, and it was a joke, and it was inspiring all in one. So thanks, thanks for that, and thank you for your time. I know you entertain audiences sometimes, and you have a lot to offer with advice, and I appreciate you taking the time with our audience. Again, where can people find you at?
yeah, just come to 17terawatts.com. So 17 numerics and then terawatts.com. Yeah, come by, send us a little note on the website. Let's do some good together.
Awesome. Well, hey, if you're listening out there, you're watching, we encourage you to join the revolution. The revolution is here. It's people that we need to fulfill it. The technology is here. The future is here. So thank you for joining us. Like our page, comment, share the revolution. Let's have this virality of consumerism in the solar industry would be great. And like Scott said, it's contagious. We agree too. That's why we're excited. And prolific here every day, Monday through Friday. So join us at 3 o'clock, Monday through Friday, Again, thanks, Scott, for your time, and we will see you all next time.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.